Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the Safuu community. Nathan B here, back with another video. This time, I'm going to be comparing the three largest cloud providers, which is AWS, Azure, and Google, and looking at what is the cheapest option based on the information we have from the white paper. So without further ado, let's dig in. Okay, so I've logged on to the Safuu protocol white paper, and I'm looking under the SafuuX nodes here, and you can see that the system requirements here for mainnet and testnet are detailed here. So I'm going to base my numbers on what we know. And there's four pieces of information here I'm going to take to each one of those cloud providers and do my numbers and generate my cost outcomes. So the first bit is what operating system is a requirement, a system requirement, right? So that's number one, right? And it's Mac OS and Linux. The second bit of information here is that the VPS needs 8 gigabytes of virtual RAM. The third bit of information here is that it needs a disk, an SSD disk that is 500 gigabytes in size. And I would say the fourth bit of information is this, that it needs a 4-core CPU or 4 virtual CPUs running on the box. So with that information, I'm going to take that to the three providers, and let's look at the cost. Okay, the first of the three I'm going to do here is AWS. And so if you go to calculator.aws.com, it's going to bring up this pricing calculator for AWS. If you click on Create Estimate, then in the search option here, you want to type in EC2. Okay, and then under Amazon EC2, you want to click on Configure. I'm going to give it a description here, SafuuX node. My region is already selected for me. I'm going to do a quick estimate for this demo. The operating system is Linux because that is the operating system as per the white paper. Now, another piece of information here is from the white paper is the virtual CPUs, which is 4, and the memory as required was 8 gigabytes. Okay, and the EC2 instance that is suggested for that is this A1.extra large. If I scroll down here, the quantity is just 1. The utilization is 100%. I want this to be up all the time. I'm going to leave that as 100%. If I scroll down here, there's this pricing strategy. Okay, it's selected as a 1-year reservation, and I'm going to go with that because if I'm going to spend $12,000 on a full node or even getting 5 light nodes, 1 year is really what I'm at least going to run with for this. Maybe some people might pick 3 years, and we can look at the difference. But what that's saying is that you will reserve that instance, that EC2 instance, for 1 year and pay that amount for the full 12 month. For 3 years, it'll be 3 years. But I'm gonna stick with just the 1 year here. Now, one of the other pieces from the white paper was a 500 gig SSD disk. So that is an SSD disk there. I'm going to change this to 500. And I am going to save and view my summary here. All right, so my monthly cost on AWS for all those pieces, Linux, 8 gig of RAM, a 500 gig SSD, and 4 core virtual CPU, running on Linux. On the AWS side, that is going to cost $96.94 with a 1-year reservation. If I go back in here and edit and look at the 3-year reservation and I update that to see what price, that drops it to $82.19 per month with a 12-month cost of $986.28 USD. Okay, so for my second option here, I'm going to look at the costing of Azure. Right, so if you Google pricing calculator in Azure, you should come to this site here, and you want to click on virtual machines, the first option here, to provision Windows and Linux VMs. Once you've done that, you want to scroll down and pick the region for yourself. You want to pick Linux here because that is the first data point in the white paper. The next option here is going to be the type of operating system. I'm still sticking with Ubuntu here. I've had a lot of questions around are other flavors of Linux okay? And to date, the answer for that is yes. But what may happen is the SafuuX developers might come along and say that they only support Red Hat or they only support, Sentinel OS. But for now, yeah, it doesn't matter. That is fine. The other option I want to select here is around the CPUs and the amount of RAM that's in the box. So you can see here for this F4, I have 4 virtual CPUs and 8 gig of RAM, which is again the minimum requirements from the white paper. If I scroll down here, I have the same thing as AWS around reserving that, in this case, the SafuuX node for a period of time. Okay, so 1 year and 3 years, the same as AWS. Here I get a 37% discount. I'm going to go in the middle here and select this one for the year. And that gives me $91.08. If I then look at this manage disks, I need to add an additional disk to get that, right? To get that 500 gigabytes SSD storage. Okay, so I'm picking a premium SSD volume here, and you can see here that I have my 500 gigabytes giving me that 2,300 IOPS. But that's going to add an additional, in Azure, an additional $73.22 to that instance, because we're attaching that managed disk to the Linux instance, because that's a requirement from the SafuuX white paper. But that adds us, that gives us a total here of $164.30 in Azure, which is quite a difference to what our first option was with AWS. Now, what I'll do is I'll scroll down here and I'll look at also what the 3-year, just so we have that documented as well. And the 3-year reservation gives us $130.61 for Azure. Our third and last option here is Google Cloud. Right, so if you Google the Google Cloud Price Calculator, it should bring you to this site here. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so we can see it a bit better. All right, so let's look at this. So the first option here is compute engine. That is the one you want selected. I'm going to select one instance here for my SafuuX node. The operating system is Linux Ubuntu, so I'm going to go with that. I want to select leave the regular option here, the provisioning model, because I want it up all the time, and I want it prioritized. Next, I'm going to select this machine type, and I'm going to do a custom. For the virtual CPUs, I'm going to add 4, and for the virtual memory, I'm going to select 8, which matches our SafuuX white paper. Now I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to select my data center for East US 1, and the static IP, I'm going to select 1 as well. That is of interest to me to have a static public IP. Now in GCP, what they have here is they have this committed usage, which is the reserved 1 year or 3 year in Azure and AWS. So for the start of this, I'm going to select 1 year, and I'm going to add that to my estimate. Now, one of the other requirements we need is a 500 gig SSD. So I'm going to choose my region as well, and I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to pick the zonal 500 SSD volume because that was our requirement, and I'm going to add that to my estimate. Okay, now, all right, so I'm looking at this and I have my 1 year commitment for this VM, and that gives me a price of $53.80 per month, but that SSD then also adds another $85 because that is a requirement as per the white paper that we need a 500 gig SSD volume, and that puts us up at $138.80. All right, for the last option here, I have, as you can see, the commitment term is 3 years here. It puts it down to $36.34 per month. And we also have our 500 gigabyte attached storage, so it totals out at $121.34 if you want to go for the 3 year commitment instead of the 1 year commitment at $138.80. Okay, so here to summarize is if I start from the cheapest option for the 1 year reservation is AWS, coming in at $96.94 per month. The next one in the list is for the 1 year reservation is Google Cloud Platform, which is for the 1 year is $138.80. And coming in at number 3 for the 1 year reservation is Azure at $164.30. So if anyone wanted to then look at doing a 3 year reservation, the cheapest again is going to be AWS at $82.19 for 3 year commitment. The next one is Google Cloud Provider at $121.34, and Azure coming in again. If you want to lock in on Azure for 3 years, each month it's going to cost you $130.61. So yeah, hope everyone found this of use to really look at what the costs are for the 3 biggest cloud providers out there. And based on what you can see on the screen is what the SafuuX team has given us with the requirements, the system requirements. So that's what I base my numbers. This could change. If it does change and they update this, I'll do another video and look into the numbers and edit it at that point. But other than that, until next time, take care everyone, and bye for now.